I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
We're live.
Hey everybody, welcome back.
Yeah, hey guys. Tim and Jeff here, man. We're gonna tackle this subject. Is it worth prepping for any kind of disaster?
You know, the election's coming up, so there might be some riots going on and stuff. That's a real concern, actually.
Yeah.
You know, depending on who wins or who loses or whatever. I'm not going to get political, though, because Lord knows we don't want this taken down by YouTube again.
Yeah, I've been prepping for the zombie apocalypse, but
Yeah.
you know, that's kind of a little more out there. Not really a lot of places to hide from that.
No.
I fear from our last video, if it's aliens, I'm just going to go out and just let it happen. But you know,
well, you may not have any. You may not have any control over it. Did you hear what happened on that aircraft carrier? That alien, I guess one of those Tic Tacs or whatever it came from way up high and it hovered 100 feet above the deck of this carrier, and it emitted this light. And there was like hundreds of personnel out on the deck of the carrier. And when it did that, it was weird because it brightened everything up, but it didn't like reflect off the water or off any surfaces. Like, you know, if you shine a spotlight down, you're going to see a reflection on the water or whatever. It didn't do that. And everybody that was involved with this felt like they were like this. And then when the light went off, they woke them up, kind of like put them to sleep.
Wow.
So you never know.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen with it.
Yeah. So I do a little bit of prepping. We bought a freeze dryer.
You got that nice food freeze dryer, don't you?
Yeah, man, that thing is freaking awesome. And you know what it is you can freeze dry just about anything as long as it doesn't have a lot of even like hamburger and stuff like that. If it doesn't have a lot of natural moisture in it, you can freeze dry apples, grapes. Well, grapes not so much, but like apples and you
watermelon.
You can do watermelon. Believe it or not, I think I don't know.
It's a lot of water content in it.
You'd have to ask the boss, my wife. She knows all about it. But we bought this thing, and like, I'll give you an example. Like, say we made a big spaghetti dinner, right? And there was a ton left over, and there's just the three of us. Hey, sorry, my dogs are fighting. And there's a ton left over. Well, instead of just sticking it in a bag and freezing it, taking up freezer space, and then you forget about it, then it gets freezer burnt and all that stuff. Yeah. You spread it out on these trays and you stick it in the freeze dryer, and the process does take a while. What it does is it gets it super, super, super cold. Yeah. Like down to like negative 32 degrees. And then it begins heating it back up. And it takes a long time, but it takes every bit of moisture out of the food without taking any of the protein or any of the good stuff out of it, any of the flavor or anything. And when you're done, you pull it out. It takes about like 20 hours depending on what you're doing. So you got to kind of plan in advance for it. We stop at my dogs are fighting. Anyway, but when you're done, you've got this like freeze dried square of spaghetti. You just break it up. You put it in these packs. You put an oxygen sealer in it and seal it shut, and use the whatever that heat seal thing is. I forget what you call it. We have one. And it'll last for like 25 years. So, like, we've done it. My wife.
What do you do when you take it out? Just add water and it becomes spaghetti?
Yeah, exactly. You just take what you want out. You can portion it into separate little bags. You can put it all in one big bag. And then you just take out what you want, stick it in a bowl, and you use some warm water, hot water, pour it over it to the consistency you want. It's just like those camping meals that you can get where you dump a little water in, then you seal the bag and let it sit for 10 minutes, open it back up, and it reconstitutes. But the good thing about this is you know exactly what's in it because you cooked it. You know exactly, nothing's been added to it, and it doesn't really cost near as much because like those, what's that, mountain fresh meals or something that you can buy, the survival.
I wonder if I could freeze dry all my whiskey.
You can. It'll turn it into a
That way
powder.
you can. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like you can freeze dry milk. We have like.
And our coffee, because we always start with coffee.
Oh yeah. Here we go. Cheers,
Yeah.
buddy.
I wanted one of those. You know, when I saw that, I thought that's a neat thing. I went and looked, man. So those things are expensive, man.
Yeah, we got it
Like $4,000 or $5,000 or something.
Well, we got the medium size, and they were running a deal. We got it for $2,800.
Wow, that ain't bad.
Not really, but and then we ended up. It draws. The bad thing is, if you get the medium size or the large size, it draws so much electricity. We ended up having to have an electrician come out and put in a separate dedicated outlet for it.
Wow.
Otherwise, because it was popping our circuits and our breaker box and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So
I had to do that for my RV. I had to go put in a 50 amp plug outside so I could plug that in when we're getting it ready and trying to get all the food cold and ready to go.
Well, see, you got prep right there. You've got an escape with a camper, right?
If all that stuff goes down while I'm home close to it, then you're dealing with the camper and having to pull it along,
Yeah. Well, the reason this came up is I watched a video, Eki Acres, I think it's called, and it was what's it called? It's like when evil comes knocking or something like that. I can't find it.
Do you have the little present tab down there at the bottom? It has a plus and present down by settings.
Yeah.
If you ever want to show a video clip of anything you want to do, you can hit that present. And you can select it to the tab that you have something opened with. If you ever have some reference that you want to show them one of the clips that you saw or anything.
That's a good idea, actually, because
yeah.
that's what kind of inspired this. This was not.
I know I kind of did it on the last ones, but if you want to play around with any of that stuff, hey guys, we are learning. You guys all know the premise of my channel is I knew absolutely nothing about all this stuff, and both of us still don't even know enough to use OBS Live. We have to use StreamYard. StreamYard's kind of like Live for Dummies.
Works for us really, really well.
Yeah. So
I don't know what that says about us, but hey.
Yeah, the OBS one of these days we'll get it down, but it's going to take a little bit of work. Both of us have been busy. I know he's been real busy with Amazon, and I've been out at Possum Kingdom tracking down Sasquatch.
How'd that go? Did you find him?
No, but man, we're out there. I'm going to be putting a short on here a little while later of all the wolves that were howling and stuff. It's kind of creepy when you're out there at night. Yeah, I had on night vision. We went out on the hiking trails. It's like I said, it's a short. I don't have a whole lot of videos of it, but I'm putting together a short right now of them. So
that's awesome.
Once I get them.
We ought to do that. We ought to go out and do a Bigfoot hunt, and then hire somebody to go knock on some trees, freak out.
Yeah, I did it. I don't know if I doubt they've ever seen a Sasquatch there, but I decided to go out Sasquatch hunting. But man, I tell you what, it sounded like. Hold on, let me play this. Hang on here. That's all right. We can keep talking, but I'll see. Where's that?
So I would have to just as a technical note here, I would have to share my screen. Whoa, just happened to my computer. I would have to share my screen to show this video, right?
Yeah, so what you can do a lot of times is I'll take the tab that's open on my thing, move it over kind of to the side, and then you can share the tab. If you still want to be able to see the video thing while you're doing it, just, if you grab the tab that StreamYard's open, you can move it where it ain't part of your browser.
I can?
Yeah, just like move it somewhere else. And if you have two screens, you can put it over on another screen. That way you can still see your video. And
holy crud. I didn't know that.
Windows has those snap-ins, so you can bring it up to one of the corners, like the top left corner. If you drag the tab up to that top left corner, it'll open it up in a quarter of the page. and then you can pull the rest of your browser over to the other upper corner, and that way you can have them both taking up half the screen, and you can see them side by side.
Let me just try something. Let me try a screen share because I just moved the tab that StreamYard was on. Sorry, everybody, if you're watching this.
Hey, it's all you guys get to learn with us. So that's part of our whole premise is you guys are diving in the deep end with us. So
share screen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You should have seen me with the sewage footage, learning how to do the sewer the first time on the cameras and stuff.
So can you guys see this?
Oh yeah. Let me maybe I have to add it to the stage from here, but yeah, there you go.
All right, so this is what inspired our topic today. This is a channel called Eki Acres. I guess I am subscribed to him. But anyway, it's when evil takes over, and is rural living safer than living like in the city? Now, the premise of this, let me kind of set it up, is he had heard that, well, if you live out in the country, like you do, Jeff, you live in the country more, I live more in the city, in the suburbs. Is it actually better and safer for you to be in the city, or are you a lot safer out in the country? And he makes some good points about things.
Is it the soulmate in Vietnam that I'm looking at over there to the right? Is that the
Oh, hold on. It's a commercial. Let me get through this.
No, it's all right. You can play it and just skip it.
Your home, auto, boat, and RV all bundled with Progressive. You're free.
Hey, we are not sponsored by Progressive. Or Eki Acres.
Yeah, right. And thank you for, I don't know the name of the owner of this channel, so we'll give him a shout out anyway. All right, here we go.
Some things I wanted to talk about in this video. I'm unlocking the office here to the pole barn. Gonna get out of this breeze. It's chilly today. What I wanted to talk about in this video is I get people that ask me a lot of questions, and I've got a lot of comments, you guys, I have to go over and read and go through. And I try to get back to people, but sometimes it's impossible as just one person. But I wanted to talk about something that I'm sure has been on a lot of people's minds lately. Because people are getting worried, very, very worried. And I believe that when the evil takes over, which is going to be soon,
there's not
I
sponsored.
think we're all going to be
sponsored.
in dire straits. Is the country any safer than the city? And I think they both have their pros and cons. Both the city and the country has its pros and cons of living there. But a lot of people are under the false illusion that living in the country, you're a lot safer. And that's not true. That just is not true. Because really, the only thing that is different in the country is you have more space, you have more room, less population of people, but that does not mean that people can't reach you. People can still reach you. No one lives so far that you can't be reached. There are places that are safer than others. I do understand this. But I come back to remember something I told a gentleman that has a YouTube channel, and he doesn't live very far from me. And this guy is a heavy-duty, serious prepper, and he believes he's got it all figured out. He's got a couple of young kids that still live at home, and I've spoken with this gentleman over the phone. And I'm not going to mention his name or his channel.
Yeah, sorry for all the preamble. I'm trying to get to it here.
But when I spoke to this gentleman, I told him, I says, when your place is surrounded by thick forest, just like this place is, thick woods in all directions. Right across over here at the end of this 2-track is 100 acres of just woods. There's no homes, no camps, no nothing over there. Just unspoiled woods, 100 acres. And then over on this side is 55 acres of the same thing. And there's 40 plus acres that is owned by an Amish guy on the east side of the property. So there's really nobody around us per se.
At least you can buy furniture.
And I told this guy that basically has all the firewood you could ever need to heat your home for an entire winter. enough food to live off for 2 years. He's got every type of manual thing that you can imagine, focusing mainly on things that do not run on electric or batteries. Because you got to think about how they did it back in the 18th century. You got to think about how they refrigerated food. How did they freeze things? How did they keep things from spoiling? But the thing that I told him, I says, the number one thing that is the biggest threat is that living in the United States, everybody knows that we are a country of arms. Just about everybody out there is armed with weapons.
All right. So the point he's going to get to on this, basically, without being so long-winded watching him, is that everybody's armed. And if you're surrounded, basically, so if you think that by moving out into the country and you're surrounded by, like he said, hundreds of acres of woods around you and anything, that all it would take would be one determined individual out there with a sniper rifle and a scope. You step outside of your house to take care of your animals, or I don't know, go to the barn or do whatever it is.
He takes over your house
and he takes you down with one shot. Then everything that you have prepped for, all those stores of food, your family is, is vulnerable now to whoever may be coming in.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good point, because a lot of people are like, well, if the balloon, as we used to call it in the military, when things went bad, we called it the balloon has gone up. So when the balloon goes up and everybody's going crazy and there's terror and anarchy in the streets and stuff like that, yeah, it would be bad to be in the city, but where's everybody going to disperse to?
You're going to try to get away from the city.
And you live out there in the country a little bit more, Jeff. I wonder how many people you would have within, say something bad happened. I wonder how long it would take for somebody to actually be on your property.
Oh, not long at all. And I don't have a lot of land, so I'm not surrounded by that. We've got places built around, so it'd probably happen out here pretty quick.
So most people think, are preppers crazy? My thought is, when I see this, I'm like, well, okay, is it better to prep, or should you just let the chips fall where they may? Because if somebody can come take your stuff anyway, then what's the point?
Yeah, that's probably where I haven't gotten as much into it. And, you know me, I keep, I have weapons and all that kind of stuff that I keep for self-defense. But, eventually your ammo is going to run out, and eventually things are going to come up. And some of the preppers, they've got ways to fill up their ammo and do stuff like that. But I don't, I don't have all that. When it comes down to it, it's just probably going to get more archaic. And then when you're out of weapons, then you're going to have to learn to do it with your knives and with your making homemade weapons and stuff to get by. Because, first day or two, I think it'd be fine. Then, of course, it's when you're going to start getting looting and people getting hungry and people, trying to fight for survival, and then doing that. So I'm more of a kind of take it as you go. And in a lot of cases, say there's a big old nuclear war and everything, and you went and built a bunker or something. Hi, puppy. You went and built. There's Chester. Yeah.
He's all hyper. He's been running around. I don't know.
Yeah, he's excited. Yeah, so, and that's the whole thing, building like some people even have the bomb shelters and everything built that they could go into, say there was some kind of nuclear war and everything. But really, you can only stay in those so long. So when you come up, do you really want to live in the aftermath of a nuclear war? You figure all the water, all the food's tainted, all the everything else. So, and you got several years before that kind of cleans itself up,
Honestly, I think I was watching something on another Sean Ryan show, Annie Jacobson. She writes a lot of books, and she wrote one about nuclear war, and they were talking about the different areas. This whole area that we live in would be completely decimated. There's probably at least 15 to 20 nukes pointed at Texas alone.
Well, yeah, because we got the Air Force bases, we've got,
the ports for you know, in
Yeah,
Houston.
so most of them, in a nuclear scenario, I think most of them, one, they're going to try to take out the weapons. So you got like Colorado. I think our nukes are all stored in Colorado, North Dakota, South Dakota. There's like
Nebraska.
Nebraska. So 4 states: North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, and Colorado.
Russia, if you're watching.
Right. Yeah, and they all know. All the countries know where they are. So, when people start firing missiles, a majority of them, at that point, they're trying to keep other people from responding. So I think a majority of the initial missiles are going to be trying to take out the other people's weapon arsenals.
Right.
So, anybody in those areas, I think, are just going to be getting obliterated because there's going to be so many of them hitting one after the other. And then
Plus,
some of your other ones like Air Force Base, maybe some of your nuclear power plants. And of course, what do we have down in the Granbury area? We have nuclear power plants. We have them.
Yeah. And just think of the damage that would cause, a direct hit on a nuclear power plant. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, it's going to be like a 3 Mile Island thing where any of the territory anywhere close to it's not really usable,
Yeah, it would just make the land completely uninhabitable. So where would you even go? So see, that's, I think, honestly, if there was something like that disaster happen, the ones that get hit and vaporized are probably going to be the lucky ones.
Yeah, no, they are probably the ones living directly in the city and getting it.
I mean, back at the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, those old films where, oh my gosh, those people suffered and died, radiation sickness, which is, I guess, cancer or whatever. But
yeah, it will be, except for people that are way out in the woods away from it. And then they got to deal, those people, just like that guy was talking about, is the aftermath of the survivors that are looking to survive, that go out and are trying to kill people to get safe shelter and harbor and stuff.
Hang on a second, Jeff. Hang on. Go ahead, Jeff. Keep talking. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, man. That's okay.
I'm going to mute this a second.
Yeah. So anyway, that's definitely, what do you do? Do you really want to be around in the aftermath of that and, having to kill people and defend yourself and, all that? Or that's something everybody's got to ask, are they real survival oriented where they want to make it through there? I know right now we don't have any of that. However, I do like his food. I do like his food idea though, with the food dehydrator and everything.
Yeah, sorry about that. My wife had to. I thought maybe she was having.
Oh, that's all right, man. She's the boss, so
she's out. Well, she's out and about, and our car isn't running 100%. So when she calls me, and she knew I was doing a live, so when she calls me, I was like, "Oh boy, I may have to get off of here and go rescue her." But she was just telling me that our daughter's getting ready for graduation, and she doesn't have anything to wear, so she's going shopping. And
all right,
you don't need to know.
Cool.
Anyway,
yeah.
Boring stuff, but almost like the food preparation and stuff like that's a good idea. Not only just for, I think, if you're talking about like nuclear destruction, it's not going to do you any good or anything like that. But let's say, like
in a pandemic or or natural disaster, let's say Yellowstone. That's the whole thing with all the eruptions and everything happening at Yellowstone. If Yellowstone ever went, you figure that would knock out probably. Probably what, 40, 50, 60, 70% of that whole Midwestern United States and the power grid and what it would do on that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody's like a ticking time bomb anyway, sitting there waiting for something to happen. Honestly, you could have a freaking, huge solar flare or something like that happen, which would have an EMP effect, which could knock out the whole power grids. And that in itself would cause a disaster, because if that stuff got totally melted down, if enough of it happened at once, and we've been real lucky on these last major solar flares that come in, of where the earth was turning at the time that was coming. But if we ever took a direct hit from a big enough one, it would act like an EMP. So, you know, if it goes knocking out the power grid, you know, some of those things, you know, that ain't something where they're going to be up in a week or two or 6 months. You know, some of those would take about 10 years to rebuild all that, you know.
Yeah, I was just looking up the Yellowstone thing you mentioned here. It said, what would happen if Yellowstone erupted? If another large caldera forming eruption were to occur at Yellowstone, its effects would be worldwide. Such a giant eruption would have a regional effects, such as falling ash in the short term, years to decades, and changes in global climate. So
it would cause a nuclear war because of the clouds and everything covering everything would be, you know, which would be a cloud enveloping everything. So you'd have like ice age in some places that were hot, all of a sudden freezing, and
right,
you know, not just a winter freeze, but something that's lasting for years, you know, to where, you know, different people, animals and everything, vegetation is dying out, and, you know, so.
Yeah, and then when you get into prepping and you think about it, like you were saying, like an EMP, so that got me thinking like, okay, well, the electricity goes, so you got to have a generator probably, right? A solar generator. A lot of people are big on those, those boxy ones that are kind of portable. You can take camping with you.
Yeah.
But those are only going to power so much.
Yeah.
So as far as like food prep with our dehydrator, our food dehydrator, we would have to already have a store built up. You know what I mean? We could probably grab and take with us, because that thing's going to be nothing but a huge paperweight. You know what I mean?
I think it's great to have that stuff because, you know, there's some disasters that you don't have a choice. You're going to have to survive through it for a while. So it's good to have a lot of that stored up that you can live on, you know, a bunch of water, a bunch of, you know, that kind of food that you can live off of and all that. I think it's good to have it. I can't afford to have, if I had it, I'd just have to grab some Snickers or something right now.
You'd be so sick of Snickers after about a week.
Yeah, especially after this trip to Possum Kingdom, it wiped me out, man.
Did it?
So, yeah. So
all that running around chasing Bigfoots, what did it?
Yeah. The Sasquatch hunting was good, but I tell you what, though, man, it was a good trip. We had a lot of fun out there. So
it looked. You guys got a primo spot too. If you guys haven't checked out Jeff's latest video, go check it out, man. It's really good. He got a really excellent spot right on the lake. You looked beautiful. Nice flat area, picnic table. Did it have a like a fire pit ring or whatever?
One thing I've been really enjoying is I love the state parks, you know, and I have a Passport America pass where we can go to these different RV places for.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I love the state parks, man. They're just, all of them are beautiful for it. Like really, probably, of course, we love the Davis Mountains, but probably around here, our favorite park was Lake Mineral Wells. Really? If you just want the big trees, the oak, the just beautiful scenery and stuff like that, it's great. Possum Kingdom's great because nearly all the spots now out at Lake Mineral Wells, I mean, you're close to the water and you may be within walking distance and things like that, but you're lucky. You got to really look because people book those way in advance, you know, the spots on the lake.
Sure.
So most likely you're not going to be on the lake. You may get lucky. But man, they're at Possum Kingdom. They're all on the water, man. That is a big, you know, zigzaggy lake. I mean, it's a huge lake if you ever look at it. But it's a beautiful lake, and man, around this thing, since there's so many coves coming around, like all their spots are on the water.
So there's nothing.
I didn't see a whole lot of bad spots that you weren't right there on the lake, so it's kind of nice.
You're not the only one I've heard that said that. There's a lot of people that I watch on those camping channels and stuff like that that are similar to yours, like RVs and stuff like that. That overall they prefer going to the parks like that.
I tell you, man, just for the price, for the you get a state. Normally, if you go visit a state park, you may pay. My wife could chime in, but probably $10-15, for a day pass to drive through and hang out and do stuff. But when you have a park pass, you don't have to pay any of those daily rates. Normally, if you're going to go RV or camp at one, you got to pay not only whatever your camping fee is, which may be, in our case with an RV, it might be cheaper with a tent, but we may be paying like 30, 26, $30, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd have to pay your daily park fees. So you don't pay any of the daily park fees along with it. So when we went, it was like $26 a night.
Wow.
And that was it. So, probably about 160 for the whole 7 days staying there.
Man,
Like
they say that like the average hotel price, because like one of my plans is once we get a bigger motorcycle, is to go out and travel like you guys do, but probably not camping as much as staying in hotels and stuff like that. But I have to rethink that. I think we had this discussion before. I think the average is like $150, and that's like for a Holiday Inn or whatever.
That's why we keep the RV. I mean, we got the payments on that thing's like $400 a month or something like that. So keep in mind, on the months we're not traveling, we're still paying that $400 a month on the payment on the RV. But what I'm hoping is by the time we're retired, we kind of have that thing paid off, or at least real low. And, that's our hope on it. And one of the reasons we keep it, because, you go take a trip somewhere, you figure at, a couple of $100 a night staying someplace.
Yeah, it'll eat into your cash real quick. So speaking of cash in a survival situation, do you believe all these ads out there for buy gold and take some of your 401k and invest it in gold and silver? Do you do any investing like that? Do you think it's smart? Now I'm not gonna lie, we have, and hopefully nobody knows where I live, but that's okay. I just put cameras up and we are armed.
Yeah.
We keep a certain amount of cash on hand too, just as an emergency fund. I'll go into detail about it, but just to be on the safe side, because you figure that the ATMs go down, you're not gonna be able to get gas anywhere. You're not gonna be able to go to your ATM. Your card ain't gonna work anywhere. I figure cash might be king to at least get you some supplies, or at least out of the city.
Yeah, it might if the cash is even the currency, there's a possibility when that happens that, the gold will be more valuable and different. If it goes long enough on an emergency, it may be things you're trading and stuff you have that, you can trade to people. So
like I got a 5-gallon jug of fresh water here. Give me medical supplies or whatever.
Right.
So for prepping, I mean, we've probably got about maybe 15 meals set aside that are going to last 25 years. We're really lacking on the water. We only got one 5-gallon jug of water. We need to get more of those. We have a huge amount of medical supplies, but nothing for, like my wife's diabetic and she has to take insulin. You have to keep that refrigerated. So I think the next thing that we're going to piece in there is probably some kind of a portable solar generator where we can actually, or one of those powered coolers. I haven't looked into it too much.
Loretta said, people hack cameras. Gold ain't going to be worth anything. Chickens, goats, back to them days.
Yeah. And that's more than likely.
That's why I want goats. Yeah, it's just we've been thinking about getting goats and everything else on ours.
I thought you guys were going to do that.
Yeah, we're still talking about it. We've just, of course, we hadn't done anything yet because we were getting ready to go on a trip, and you really got to spend a lot of time and stuff with goats and stuff when you get them, and the animals and stuff. We knew we were going to be leaving for a week and doing all that other stuff, so we hadn't done anything yet, but.
And Loretta, Patty wants chickens. she wants us to keep chickens here, like 3 or 4 chickens, and I'm totally against it. But I see your point, because like with goats, you got milk, right?
Good thing about chickens is really you don't have to have a male. You know the difference between getting an egg that has the yolk where you can cook it and all that, and having a live chicken in it,
Right.
is the fertilization from the male. So we're just watching a thing on that today that hens always lay eggs. It doesn't matter if they're fertilized or not. They lay eggs year round, and you can trade. So if you don't have them fertilized with a male, then you've got farm fresh eggs just all the time happening from hens. And then when you want to increase how many chickens you have, then you stick them with a male and fertilize them so you can get some chickens and stick them in your incubator that you don't have electricity for. So
what about isn't there something about like unwashed eggs? They'll keep for a long time as long as you don't wash them, right? There's something about that, because I know back when I owned my lawn care business, I went out and I did this guy's property just along his fence line. I edged it and everything. It was a big property, and he paid me. But then on top of that, he goes, "Hey, we got all these laying hens and we've got all these eggs. Now these are unwashed eggs." And he gave me a whole basket full of them. I brought them home, and Patty used them, but I mean, we just let them sit out on the counter. They didn't have to be refrigerated. So there's something.
You figure in nature they're not refrigerated. They sit out there with them.
She would know better, like if they go bad after a certain amount of time. But I think if they're unwashed, they keep
the roosters. Yeah, she's always wanting to kill the guys or cut their wieners or do whatever.
Yeah, I heard about you liking to slice wieners, Loretta.
Yeah.
Enough said on that topic.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was kind of worrisome. That was a little worrisome when she was having way too much fun cutting up the hot dogs.
What was that, Queensryche, or that one song, or Metallica, "Sleep with One Eye Open"?
Yeah,
gripping your pillow tight.
Yeah, that's right.
You never know.
Oh, I haven't slept since we've been back since then.
Yeah, no. Hey, what was it in your video that you said about
Black Widow? Hello.
What was it you said about walking dogs and made Loretta really happy in your video? You said something about taking the dogs for a walk.
Taking the dogs for a walk.
Yeah, it was like when you guys got there, you said, "I'm going to take the dogs for a walk," and Loretta said, "Why were you looking at me when you said that?" or something like that.
Oh yeah. She's getting a little touchy.
Oh.
Yeah. So I had to keep correcting. I'm not talking. I'm talking about the dog. Why were you pointing that thing at me when you said that? No.
Yeah.
Take a clue from nature.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is prepping worth it? I think
my door shut. Yeah. Okay. No.
Yeah, I thought you were going to do one of your little things showing her coming in with a knife behind.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. You can always turn part of this into a video clip and do that.
Yeah, I might have to figure out how to do that.
Axe murderer come out.
Yeah.
So I guess prepping's worth it in certain situations, but not in others. Right? So
I think it's always good to kind of prep and be prepared. I think any of that stuff is just diving too deep. You don't know what's going to hit. God may destroy the planet in a fireball next time, and who knows? We may have an asteroid hit and crash. But there are some disaster scenarios that could happen that I think it's a good idea to prep and everything else if you can, and kind of be prepared to, be able to kind of rough it for a while.
Yeah. I think some people go overboard with it though, and they know it all and blah, blah, blah. And I think that was another point in that guy's videos. He said, out of all that he was talking about his neighbor that's a heavy prepper, he said, but out of everything that he has, he doesn't have nail clippers. And he goes, you think about it, in a situation like that, you could get a hangnail that could get infected, and that could end up killing you. And if all you had was a pair of nail clippers, you could take care of it. And so I don't think you can think of everything, every little scenario, you know?
Yeah.
But
I guess I'm kind of prepped. I have a nose hair trimmer.
that's more information than I needed, but
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. I don't really. I'm thinking I don't have a comment for that one.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm sorry. No comment on that one.
All right. Yeah, you can all leave your comments down below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black Widow. What is she saying there? Loretta said Black Widow.
Black Widow. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
We were talking about the knives, taking them to bed and sleeping with one eye open.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. She said, take a clue from nature.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess to prep a little bit's not a bad thing. It's kind of a responsible thing to do, but I think you can kind of go overboard with it as well. You know, you got some people that like got bug out bags and escape routes and all this other stuff. Well, I'm going to go this way and do this and that and blah, blah, blah. Yet they put it out on YouTube. So guess what? Everybody knows what your plans are.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's all right.
If I was really prepared and I had an excellent escape route, I wouldn't be putting it on YouTube. You know, another good thing though too is like I think one of the main things about and society's really gotten away from it from like when we were kids, but community, like trading with your neighbors, grouping together. So one thing that would be good would be some sort of a short band radio or something like that, where like you could get in contact with each other, because your cell service is going to be down. The phones aren't going to be working, right? But what if you had like a short band? I don't know what they're called. A satellite? No, satellites wouldn't work either. But you know what I'm talking about, like a walkie-talkie with some.
I always keep one like a 19 channel or I don't know how many 40 channel wideband radio, little walkie-talkie looking thing, but it's a wideband radio. I keep one with me just in case all the time.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah,
that's good.
I have the one that I got. Yeah, it's still in the box. I don't ever use it, but I only have one. I don't have two of them. So
I've got
like we were together, and you know, I got that because if you ever were and you were listening and scanning the channels, you know, you could see. But of course, that's only as good as to you know your batteries run out.
Well, see, but I've got one that I got it as a gift when I bought something, but it's a wind-up radio.
Yeah,
and
I have a wind-up solar powered and a solar powered radio too.
Dang, man! So you're more prepared than I thought you were. You got guns and a radio. That's all you need, man.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, and then but yeah, that's the whole thing. You know, your batteries. So many things are battery. I do have those two things that are solar powered, and our RV. You know, it's got solar stuff on it, but it wouldn't power the whole RV and everything else on it. You know,
how sufficient is that? Like, say, if you had to bug out and you were in the RV, how long do you think you could last with the setup you have now without going to an where you could plug in?
Oh, I wouldn't. It's not equipped for all that. It does. I don't know what all that thing will even power. Like, I don't even think it'll run the refrigerators and stuff. Like when we travel to some place, I think I know it'll like open the slide on the thing so you could get the slide open or something, but I don't even know if it'll turn the lights on inside. It's you know, they have a couple of panels on it, but it's a real minimal amount of power. Like you have to be plugged up into something. Now you could live in the RV. I mean, you could open the slides with the battery and everything and the charge it's doing on it from solar. So
is there a manual way to open those slides if you don't have power? Is there a crank or something that you can use?
I've never even gotten down there and looked. They don't advertise it. I don't know if there is or not. I'll have to climb under there and look at it sometime.
Can you just think about? I think about how society would be lost as we are so plugged into everything. If that all went away.
It would. Look at the medical stuff. You know, a lot of the younger people trained in medical stuff, you know, they freak out so bad when anything technology wise goes down, like their whole world's ending and everything else. And
Well, hospitals have backup generators, though, don't they?
yeah. Yeah, that'd be good for a while until there wasn't a supply of gas coming in and refilling them. And, you know, like I said, a lot of things you might be fine for a little while, just like, you know, all this battery operated stuff. Once the batteries start running down, how are you going to recharge them?
That's
true.
true.
Once your gas runs out, how's that going to happen? I mean, they'd make it for a while, but eventually even they're going to go. And then you're going to get people that are out there that, you know, in a disaster situation, you're going to get people that are looting the hospitals, the doctors, and robbing them and going there at gunpoint and taking stuff. So, I mean, and she said the solar panels on the trailer are just for keeping the battery charged unless we want a way upgrade. Yeah, and you can equip these trailers where you can go what they call boondocking, where you go off the grid and everything, but we haven't invested in all that on our.
Oh, see, I thought it was set up for that. I didn't know. I thought that you guys already had it set up.
Now ours would be pretty easy if we went ahead of time. You know, if we got us about a 4,000 watt generator.
Yeah.
Which isn't a super big one, but you know, you could go get one of those and you could live off the grid with it and everything else. I think you'd need at least a 3,000 watt generator for it.
And that might at least be able to keep your refrigeration going. Or
yeah, and I was calculating. I was looking at all the wattages that the things inside the RV run one day on it, and I was going, really, to be safe, you'd want to do like a 3,500 or 4,000. You could do it with the 3,000. You just have to make sure you know you're not running the microwave and the AC at the same time. You know, be running the AC. If you're going to cook something, you probably want to kill the AC and turn that on so it doesn't keep blowing the circuits on it.
Right. So it's just you'd have to kind of know where your wattage levels are for.
Yeah, and I may get one of those one time. We've talked about it'd be neat to kind of go boondocking in places and stuff on it, but you know, and you got to have a clean water source for filling up the the freshwater tank and stuff like that. So,
how many gallons is that freshwater tank hold?
God, I don't know. I'm guessing around 20, somewhere around there, 20, 25. It's probably not a real big one, but
enough to get by for a little while. And
yeah.
Have some drinking
if
water.
You're camping now in a survival situation, maybe not. You'd still want to have some of the things backed up, but
yeah, it's almost better in a survival situation because you think about the weight of carrying as much water as you would need. You'd almost want to have some kind of a filtration where you could just go get lake water or whatever and filter it. I guess you could always boil it, but I mean, I don't know.
How many watts and 30 amps? Let me look here real quick. How many watts and 30 amps? So how many watts and 30 amps? 3,600 watts.
Yeah. I know amperage is from back when I did electrical stuff. Amperage is what they call the actual power source, and watts are the work, basically what pushes the electricity through the line, I believe, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's why when I was looking at it, you'd probably want to get closer, like a 4,000, 5,000. It'd be better to have
wattage.
Yeah.
Because then you'd have the amps to push everything you needed.
We've went RVing and plugged into 30 watts. I think kind of the rule of thumb with an RV is if you only have one AC, you can get by on the 30 watts. I mean, we got by camping one time on 30 watts. In fact, the one I was showing bungee corded in, was a 30 watt plug. But, so yeah, we could get by on it. Now, one of the bigger RVs that have two ACs on it and stuff like that, they'd have to have a bigger generator. We could probably get by with a 3,000, 4,000. Be more comfortable with a 4,000 and up generator.
Well, you'd almost want to go a little bit, depending on the price, of course, but you'd always want to go a little bit above what you think your minimum needs are, right?
If I could get one that wasn't too big and bulky that I could get that'd go in there, I think a 5,000 would be about the most. That'd be the best one if you could get one that wasn't overly noisy and everything else. And
well, then you could also get the what are they called? Marine batteries.
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't you off solar charge?
Yeah, that's what you want to do when you're setting it up. There's a couple of things you do. Like one, you can get bigger and get a few more solar panels up there, and you come down, you use some of those marine batteries, and you have them charging the marine batteries, which run the other stuff. And then, you got to get a power inverter and some stuff, so there's a couple of $1,000 really you're going into spending, setting that thing up to where you can survive out there. And then if you get that stuff, then it's just a matter of filling up your freshwater tank, and then you're good out there usually for a couple of days.
Couple of days, that's it?
Well, you think it depends on how much you're showering and how much conserving you're doing, but eventually you figure whatever the size of those tanks, I think maybe a couple of days you're going to get by. I guess if some natural disasters hit and taking a shower isn't the first thing you're probably worried about anyway.
Yeah,
so you're probably just maybe some cleaning dishes and stuff like that.
Well, and if you're out at an area like you guys were, can't you go swim? You just go jump in the lake. It'll clean you off a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Jump in with a bar of soap.
Yeah, jump in there with a bar of soap. Yeah, whatever it takes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
So I don't know. I think it's worth prepping for stuff just in case, because you never know what tomorrow's going to hold. You never know what it's going to do. Is it going to be, a natural disaster you can handle that you just got to survive through, or is it going to be a major one?
Well, like the immediate concern I have more than anything else is after this next election's coming up, if it goes the way it's not supposed to go or the way it's supposed to go, depending upon what side you're voting on. And again, I'm not going to get into all that, but what about like riots and stuff like that? There's a lot of people predicting that there's going to be especially if
like a civil war type of thing.
I don't think honestly it would ever quite go that far. I think the government would shut that crap down before it ever got that far. But just civil unrest where the police might be a little bit overwhelmed, and maybe the National Guard has to be called out. I don't know, but look at the last time that when Trump won, the riots that were going on in certain cities and things like that were really, really, for those folks, not good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't cut the power or anything, but they sure were trashing the cities, and
oh yeah,
people see that stuff. It gets kind of spooky. What was there? There was wasn't there a Dallas police shooting, headquarters police shooting?
Oh yeah,
police station shooting, and everything else going on. There was all kinds of craziness going on, and I guess it's gonna happen again if that's what people are saying. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to throw fear or, shade on anything like that. I hope nothing like that happens, but in the long run, it would be good. I guess you wouldn't find yourself in a situation where it's really a survival mode. I think what you're talking about would be more like where we had the lockdowns. If, let's say, there was another pandemic came by that was more serious than, and people really had to be locked down to the point where they couldn't go out wearing masks and things like that. You'd want to have something in supply,
Yeah. And that's where I think it's good to have, the resources. Like I said, because you never know, the disaster may be something you can handle just by hunkering down and not having to get out for a while. Rita says government needs to keep relevant by having something to save us from. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's very true. And if there's nothing to save us from, they may create something. So
Well, yeah, and that's part of their whole plan, creating the divisiveness, getting everything going to stir people up so that once the civil unrest happens, they can come in and go, oh, we're going to take care of it. Let us be the hero and calm everything down. And
well, we've already
Yeah.
shown that we'll gladly give up our rights for security, won't we?
yeah,
So
yeah, and that's I think a lot of that was all a test just to see how far, how easy it would be to have us give up that, stay home, not go out, so
yeah.
I
I
won't-
think honestly some good things came out of that, though, in a way. I mean, people got to reconnect a lot more with their families, sometimes more than they wanted to reconnect with their family, I guess, in some situations. But like in my wife's situation where she was going in the office 4 or 5 days a week, now, I mean, her business just said, wait a minute, we can do this with everybody from home and we don't have to maintain a building and do all this stuff.
Yeah.
So that's been she left her job. They sent her home on her job, like on I don't know, it was sometime in March when this first hit. And she has not been back to the office. She went back to the office for one big meeting one time, and that was it. And to turn in some equipment that she had.
Yeah.
And pick up new work from home stuff, but she's worked from home ever since.
You think of how much money that saves all the stores on the brick and mortar stuff if they can kind of cut back in the electricity and the lights and have people remoting from home, man.
And they don't have to pay maintenance people. They don't have the only people that are and they still maintain a headquarters office, but the only people who are there, sorry, Jeff, is IT.
Yeah.
Is there. They have to be there because all their servers are there and everything. And then I think they still do some print. Remember the phone books?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, my wife works in digital advertising, basically online advertising, and she optimizes websites for people is what she does, and advertising for people. It used to be called superpages.com through Verizon, and now it's changed over to different names, and it's been bought and sold several times. But so really the only people that have to go in are the print ad people, because they have to actually get the books out, and the IT people. Beyond that, there ain't nobody there.
Yeah, like help desk, people that have to mess with the servers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like even ours, the network engineers, even there, a lot of the stuff we can do remotely, but every once in a while when it's the switches or something goes down, we have to go in and take care of that. But, there's a lot of our stuff that's handled remotely even.
Yeah.
So mine has even become, before the pandemic, we were in there every single day and the thing. And, after that, showed them that, hey, you know what, this can be done on a hybrid. It's called a hybrid remote. In other words, you got to put your hands on equipment to fix it sometimes. But, a lot of these trouble tickets you can do by logging into the thing and getting issues fixed on it.
Just do it remotely, huh?
Yeah. So it's, it's probably went to about 60% remote and probably about 40% where we got to go in there, and we still got to go in and, do things late at night where there's less business impact and overnight. But yeah.
So like on a daily basis, you don't have where you have to be in the office by 8 every day or whatever anymore?
No, we have a morning call where we all get on, we all go through the tickets. And
Jeff worked more during the pandemic than he did before the pandemic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did.
Did you?
During the pandemic, yeah, because you figure hospitals, people, with COVID and everything else, that was always a worry. So we were setting up all kinds of stuff. And, when they have to set up these big, a lot of time they didn't want people coming in the hospitals. They were real restrictive about who was coming in. So, we would have to set up they were setting up the tents out in the parking lots of the hospitals for people with COVID and stuff, or they would have one area.
Really? Wow.
So we had to go set up many networks, extend it to outside and stuff. And but
for the testing, like they have people come through for testing.
Oh yeah. And at the time that was going on too, we were in the middle of upgrading all the equipment and everything. So yeah, she's right. During that pandemic, we were always gone. I think I caught COVID, freaking what, 5-6 times. So I caught COVID. About, once you get that and it builds up the antibodies to kind of protect you from the COVID again, it's like I would get it about every 6 months. It seemed like, because I'm in the hospital, so everybody with it coming.
Yeah, you were exposed to it.
Catching it,
Didn't you, one time, didn't it bring on pneumonia, or you got it pretty bad one time, didn't you? But that was like the
worst.
That's
when I was working at Verizon. Yeah, I ended up catching COVID. It turned into pneumonia. But I think we picked that up we went to Vegas.
Oh.
And so
it should have stayed in Vegas. It shouldn't have.
Yeah. What happened in Vegas didn't stay in Vegas. It actually followed me home.
Dang, man.
That's
craziness.
That was kind of rough. That was a rough one.
So the lockdowns and stuff like that, like I said, I think there's been some good points, but overall, I believe you're absolutely correct. I think it was a test to see how far they could push people to exert more and more control. I really do. It was a good test to see how far they could push.
I gladly came home to care for you, honey.
Oh,
yeah,
that's special.
Yeah.
What did you guys do for your anniversary? 28 years, guys. Send Jeff and Loretta.
28 years. Yeah, that's right.
28 years. Happy anniversary to both of you.
That was our first day. We worked our butt off on our anniversary, setting up the RV, getting it ready to go. We were both exhausted.
Yeah.
It was nice, though. I mean, it was a nice trip. Yeah, the thing I miss the most is exhausting as the hikes are and everything. The hikes are what I miss, doing that and everything every day. That's things I love it. Yeah, the dogs were starting, like Molly usually, she's just kind of become a big roly-poly, she just gets a lot of weight on her. Mm-hmm. And, we were having to lift her up in the truck, by the end of that week, she was where she could jump up in the truck by herself and stuff sometimes.
So they're getting a lot more exercise than they do around.
Yeah, that's the part I miss, is you just get so busy with everything going on. You don't, it's missing out on all that stuff.
Man, and the days just fly by. I know you said in your video that it was PTO. You were able to take some personal time off to do that. But anytime you do that, man, you so look forward to it, and then it just seems to go by in a flash.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Well, I think we're in agreement on the prepping thing. I think prepping to some degree is always a good idea, but I think you can go overboard. I really do.
Yeah, that's kind of where I stand on it too. I think it's a good idea, but
you're right. Another point that you made is it's expensive. I mean, think about it. Like Mountain House, that's the name of that company that makes those camping meals and stuff like that. Yeah. Those things are freaking expensive. We did a little experiment thing where we had, we didn't do it. We watched a little experiment thing where a guy with a freeze dryer, the same as we have, bought a Mountain House biscuits and gravy meal thing, breakfast thing, and then he made his own and freeze dried it. And which one was better? And his was way better because he could put in what he wanted, the amount of sausage, the kind of gravy, the kind of seasonings, whatever else he wanted to put into it.
Right.
And then he made it up and he just freeze dried it. And so basically it looked the same and he did it proportionally, but the Mountain House has so many preservatives and I'm not picking on Mountain House, so please don't,
Right.
But that was the example he used. It was just much better and it lasts the same amount of time. So I guess you have to almost look at buying like a freeze dryer and getting prepped like that as kind of an investment.
Yeah. I'm prepped. I get too hungry. Just kind of.
Kind of. You know what that means?
Hey, you can order pizza. Am I always plugging pizza every time I'm on?
Every single time. Every
Yeah.
single time. And then you make me hungry for pizzas.
Yeah, that's right.
We're doing spaghetti and meatball, homemade meatballs tonight.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patty's cooking. So that's always a
So they
good.
cook a lot of it, and you can have some to freeze dry.
She probably will. But if not, at least there'll be some for me to take to work tomorrow. So that's always a good thing. That's always a good thing. Yeah, Amazon put out this video about their 8 new robots that they have coming out, getting back into automated stuff. I don't know how much longer my job's going to be around, to be honest with you. I mean, this thing will do. Yeah, this one robot, I should pull it up and read it, but this one robot, I was like, that's my job. And it does like 3 times the work I can do in one day.
Right.
I'm like,
I know. That AI stuff, man. It's gonna. I'm telling you, it's gonna take all of it, and then once that all starts ramping up and they get it, then they go letting go of all the staff and everything, and then something's going to implode to where all that stuff's worthless, and then then they let go of their workforce.
Honestly, if I was like not Jeff Bezos, he don't own it anymore. But if I was, I can't even think of the name of the guy that owns Amazon now. But if I was him, I would think about it, because you don't have to put up with personal problems. You don't have to put up with sick time. You don't have to pay benefits. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. And you can shorten your staff down to just having the people that come in and fix the robots or whatever, or program the robots. So the AI people are going to be safe for a while, and the robotics people are going to be safe for a while. But the warehouse workers,
even the Industrial Revolution, I mean, you think about even when we've looked in the conveyor belts that are making even modern products that are out there now that, used to take tons of people to do, that they've limited down how many people, even on assembly lines for other products that we have, I mean, it's,
that's what I was thinking of.
It
like
happens in all of them, and and in the long run, you figure it probably saves them a lot of money. So it's kind of a natural progression for businesses to want to take on it. But
sucks for the person looking for a job, though. That's for sure. But don't worry, there'll be universal basic income, so everybody will be all right.
If they ever get the quantum computers figured out, that's going to be, most things, and that's what's really scary. If they, and I know they've got a few of them, but they don't really have.
NASA has one, I think.
Yeah, and there's a couple of them. There's one online. You can go see what it does on there. But, the true, genuine quantum, like right now, our whole world, everything that's around functions in binary.
Yeah, ones and zeros.
Ones and zeros, on and off. Even your light switches have that. Your on off for your coffee maker. Well, quantum doesn't just go on off. It, like, instead of 1 or 2s, it's being able to do multiple directions at the same time of any direction. So, if they ever get the whole quantum thing figured out, the computational, and then they've got AI on top of that, it's going to be mind-boggling.
Man, you're talking about a video I watched last night. They were talking about that. They said if you add the quantum computer with AI, because I guess quantum computer works in qubits, I think, or something like that, they said.
Yeah,
where it's not just ones and zeros like you just described.
Right.
But then you stick a super intelligence on top of that running these quantum computers.
Oh yeah, and they'll have it someday. I mean, they get it if if everything keeps progressing and something doesn't wipe us out first. I'm sure eventually they'll come up with it. And when they do, that's just where it's going to get. It'll be able. They have it where it can exponentially figure things out quicker than us. So they add that quantum thing where things aren't just thinking in a 1 and 0 anymore, but where it can think in all possibilities at the same time. It's going to be crazy. Where it'll go after that.
Yeah, we'll probably have to join them. We'll have to become cyborgs or whatever they call it, so they don't kill us, so it doesn't kill us. Craziness. Because remember, machines don't need oxygen.
That's right.
We do, though.
Save the planet.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well,
Except all the plants would die because we breathe carbon dioxide, so they kill us off, all the vegetation. Of course, they don't need that, but the people that are instilling the computers
that's true.
still need it. So when all the they get rid of us, all the vegetation dies, they've got all their robots, then eventually they're going to die because there's no CO2 carbon dioxide going for the plants to breathe in. So
I'm sure the machines, if they can think in all different directions at once and everything like that, they'll figure it out.
a farting computer, no, that's methane. So
I was going to
anyway,
say,
I'm thinking of the wrong gas.
farting computer.
I would buy that.
Hey, little Billy, what do you want for Christmas? I want I want the XB9 farting computer.
Yeah, that's right. That's
It'll
what
be
I would
great.
want.
It'll
Yeah.
be great.
Yeah.
Wasn't me. Wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
It was the computer.
It was the computer. Yeah.
Yeah, don't light a match. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we beat that one to death as far as.
Yeah. 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 We'll get some other ones. Think of stuff to put on here, but now everybody knows where we stand on prepping.
We went from
I know.
prepping to farting computers. Only on this channel.
Yeah, that's right.
Like that.
Only on Generation X, unfiltered.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap this one up then.
All right. Well, hey, thank you guys, and
don't forget MillerTimeJourney. Go check out his channel. It's awesome.
Yep, and not Timmy66. And until next week or whenever our jobs allow.
Yeah, next week
you're going into holiday. Yeah, you're going into holiday season too. So.
Well, I got a normal week next week so far, but they haven't added anything on yet.
Right.
So maybe next weekend we can come up with something, but at least I don't think they have added anything on yet. Usually they're pretty good about warning us. They try to warn us at least a week in advance for overtime until we get to the point where it's just expected of us every day. So
right. Yeah. All right. Well, till next time, good talking to you guys. Good talking to you, Tim. And
talking to you, sir. Happy anniversary to you and
Loretta. Thanks. Yeah, we had a good time. So
sounds
not
like
long enough, but that's good.
Well, I always enjoy those videos, man. I love your RV videos. They're
well, luckily I got enough video stuff. I'll probably have about 8 to 10 of them popping out here.
That's good though. On my motorcycle channel, I haven't had time. My wife and I got out and rode today, and I shot a quick video, but it's about nothing. It's like, oh, look at that house! Isn't that nice? I just haven't had time to even think. I've been working. So,
and I will be popping to this channel. I'm working on it right now, but I'll be popping up my hunting Sasquatch short here pretty quick.
Looking forward to that, man. I love me some good Sasquatch stuff, man. I always do, man. And it's funny. Any of the camping channels and stuff like that, and I know we're about ready to wrap this up, but any of them, they always touch on the Sasquatch thing at one point or another. No matter what, they always go there.
I did it in the video and took some of those clips out to make a short. I'll put the short on this channel. I'm
cool.
Because on my channel I have the things will be incorporated into the footage a video or two away. But I'll pop a short on here sometime next day or so.
Cool. We'll be looking forward to that. Everybody, make sure you go over and subscribe to Jeff's channel. If you haven't subscribed to Not Timmy66, I don't know why. It's free. All you gotta do is click a little thing, little
linky thingy,
and it doesn't cost anything but it really helps us as well. And while you're at it, if you enjoy these, make sure you subscribe to this channel as well, Generation X Unfiltered. We plan on doing a lot more. It's just life has been crazy right now, and we're not one of those YouTubers that can use this as our main source of income. So
right. So you get what you get.
That you get what you get. And
Yeah,
don't throw a fit. Like I used to tell my kids when they were young.
that's
Get what
right.
you get. Don't throw a fit.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
we will sign out for now. We'll see you all the
Peace.
next time around. Peace out, and we'll check you later.